30 short automotive engineering questions and answers on automatic transmission. 1. What is the primary function of a torque converter? 2. Multiply or can transfer power. 2. What is the purpose of transmission fluid? To lubricate, cool, and transmit power. 3. What is a common symptom of low transmission fluid? Slipping or hesitation. 4. How often should transmission fluid be changed? Every 30,000 to 60,000 miles. 5. What is a solenoid in an automatic transmission? An electrohydraulic valve. 6. What is the purpose of a transmission cooler? To cool the transmission fluid. 7. What is a common cause of transmission slipping? Low fluid level, worn-out clutch packs or bands. 8. How do you check transmission fluid level? Consult owner's manual, check dipstick. 9. What is a dual-clutch transmission DCT? A type of automatic transmission. 10. What is a continuously variable transmission CVT? A type of automatic transmission. 11. What is the benefit of a CVT? Improve fuel efficiency, smoother acceleration. 12. What is a common problem with CVTs? Slipping, hesitation, belt wear. 13. Can I tow a trailer with an automatic transmission vehicle? Yes, with certain restrictions. 14. How does temperature affect transmission performance? High temperatures degrade performance. 15. Can I use synthetic transmission fluid? Yes, it's optional. 16. What is the primary function of a transmission filter? To filter transmission fluid. 17. How often should the transmission filter be replaced? Every 30,000 to 60,000 miles. 18. What is a transmission rebuild? Replacing worn-out parts and reassembling. 19. What is the difference between repair and replacement? Repair fixes a specific issue. Replacement installs a new transmission. 20. Can I upgrade my automatic transmission? Yes, to a high-performance transmission. 21. What is a shift solenoid? An electrohydraulic valve controlling gear shifts. 22. What is the purpose of a transmission pressure sensor? To monitor transmission pressure. 23. What is a common symptom of a faulty shift solenoid? Slipping or hesitation. 24. Can I drive with a faulty shift solenoid? No, it's not recommended. 25. What is a transmission range sensor? A sensor monitoring gear position. 26. What is the purpose of a transmission speed sensor? To monitor transmission speed. 27. What is a common symptom of a faulty transmission speed sensor? Slipping or hesitation. 28. Can I repair a faulty transmission speed sensor myself? No, it's a complex repair. 29. What is a transmission cooler line? A line carrying transmission fluid to the cooler. 30. What is the purpose of a transmission mount? To support the transmission. 32 question and answers on operating principles of a manual transmission. 1. Which gears may be shifted in and out of mesh in a manual transmission? Reverse only. 2. What are the three purposes of a transmission? 1. Multiply torque. 2. Neutral or brake path of power. 3. Reverse or change direction. 2. What is the main purpose of a transmission? Multiply torque. 3. What is the center point of a gear to its outer edge referred to as? Radius. 6. What is another term used for drive and driven gears? Input shaft and output shaft. 7. What are the three-part principles that govern the relationship between gear size, torque and speed output? 1. Same size, same speed and torque, but rotation reverses. To small gear driving a big gear. Torque multiplies, speed reduced and rotation reverses. 3. Big gear driving a small gear. Reduced torque, speed increase and rotation reverses. 8. How is horsepower increased in a vehicle? Gears multiply torque but speed and torque must be increased. 9. What are the three transmission classifications? Manual 5 speed or automatic. Aluminum. Forward gear. Overdrive. Objective to trace the path of power. 10. In which gear is the input shaft directly connected to the output shaft? Underscore for TH gear. 3. When do the output gears rotate freely on the main shaft? All gears except when that gear is locked, select D. 11. Under what conditions does the countershaft rotate? All gears when the engine is running and the clutch is engaged. 12. Under what conditions are the output gears rotating? All conditions when the engine is running and the clutch is engaged. 13. Under what condition do the output gears transfer torque? Only when that gear is selected. 14. What are the synchronizers directly splined to? The output or main shaft. 15. How are gears locked to the output shaft? Through the synchronizer's sleeve and hub. 16. In a manual transmission, which gears are rotating with the engine running and the clutch engaged? All gears running except reverse Adler. Objective 3 gear designs, ratios and torque. 17. What are the two most common gears used in a manual transmission? 1 spur gear to helical gear. 18. What type of shafts must spur and helical gears have in relationship to each other? Parallel shafts running side by side with each other. 19. What occurs in spur gears as wear increases? Backlash and noise increases. 20. What two factors make helical gears stronger than spur gears? Longer teeth, more surface contact. 21. What makes helical gears quieter than spur? Sliding motion in and out of mesh. 23. In manual transmissions, what two components are used to control end thrust? Thrust washers and snap rings. 24. What does the gear ratio comparison mean when expressed to 1? The amount of drive gear revolution required to make the output gear rotate 1 complete revolution. 25. Whenever the gear ratio is greater than 1:1, it is called reduction or underdrive. 26. Why isn't torque multiplication required or reduced at highway speeds? Momentum or inertia will carry the vehicle through load condition. 27. Whenever the gear ratio is less than 1:1, it is called overdrive. 28. Why did manufacturers add an overdrive the manual transmissions? Fuel economy, emissions, NVH. 29. After determining the gear ratio of each pair of gears in the path of power, how is the final ratio calculated and how many decimal places the ratio rounded? Ratios are multiplied to decimal places. Objective for lubrication. 30. What are the 4 for purposes of lubrication? Reduce friction, cool, clean and seal. 31. What are the three most common lubricants used in manual transmissions? Gear oil, automatic transmission or engine oil. 32. What component in a manual transmission acts as the pump, cluster or countershaft? Here are 30 short exam questions and answers about transaxle. 1. What is a transaxle? A transaxle is a combination of a transmission and an axle in a single unit. 2. What is the main function of a transaxle? Answer: to transmit power from the engine to the wheels. 3. What type of vehicles typically use transaxles? Front-wheel drive vehicles. 4. What are the 2 main types of transaxles? Manual and automatic. 5. What is the purpose of the differential in a transaxle? To allow the wheels to rotate at different speeds. 6. What is the function of the gears in a transaxle? To change the speed and torque of the power transmission. 7. What is the purpose of the clutch in a manual transaxle? To engage and disengage the power transmission. 8. What is the function of the torque converter in an automatic transaxle? To transfer power from the engine to the transmission. 9. What is the purpose of the transmission fluid in a transaxle? To lubricate and cool the transmission components. 10. What is a common symptom of low transmission fluid in a transaxle? Slipping or hesitation. 11. What is the recommended interval for changing transmission fluid in a transaxle? Typically every 30,000 to 60,000 miles. 12. What is a transaxle mount? A component that supports the transaxle and reduces vibration. 13. What is the purpose of the speed sensor in a transaxle? To monitor the speed of the transmission. 14. What is a common cause of transaxle failure? Lack of maintenance, overheating, or poor lubrication. 15. What is the function of the shift solenoids in an automatic transaxle? To control the gear shifts. 16. What is the purpose of the transaxle case? To house the transmission components. 17. What is a transaxle seal? A component that seals the transmission components. 18. What is the function of the axle shafts in a transaxle? To transmit power from the transmission to the wheels. 19. What is a transaxle bearing? A component that supports the rotating parts of the transmission. 20. What is the purpose of the transaxle breather? To vent the transmission case. 21. What is a common symptom of a faulty transaxle bearing? Noise or vibration. 22. What is the recommended torque specification for transaxle bolts? Varies by manufacturer. 23. What is a transaxle overhaul? A process of rebuilding or replacing the transmission components. 24. What is the purpose of the transaxle to cool the transmission fluid? 25. What is a common cause of transaxle overheating? Low transmission fluid level, poor cooling, or blockages. 26. What is the function of the transaxle pump? To circulate the transmission fluid. 27. What is a transaxle filter? A component that filters the transmission fluid. 28. What is the recommended interval for replacing the transaxle filter? Typically every 30,000 to 60,000 miles. 29. What is a transaxle gasket? A component that seals the transmission components. 30. What is the purpose of the transaxle diagnostic system? To monitor and diagnose transmission problems. 30 question and answers about automotive suspensions. 1. What is the main function of a suspension system? To provide a smooth ride and maintain vehicle stability. 2. What are the two main types of suspension systems? Independent and solid axle. 3. What is the purpose of a shock absorber? To control the movement of the suspension. 4. What is the function of a spring in a suspension system? To support the weight of the vehicle. 5. What is a coil spring? A type of spring used in suspension systems. 6. What is a leaf spring? A type of spring used in solid axle suspension systems. 7. What is the purpose of a stabilizer bar? To improve vehicle stability and reduce roll. 8. What is a ball joint? A component that connects the control arm to the steering knuckle. 9. What is the function of a control arm? To connect the suspension to the frame. 10. What is a bush in a suspension system? A component that reduces vibration and wear. 11. What is the purpose of a caster angle? To improve vehicle stability and steering. 12. What is camber angle? The angle of the wheel in relation to the vertical plane. 13. What is toe angle? The angle of the wheel in relation to the direction of travel. 14. What is the purpose of a tie rod? To connect the steering rack to the steering knuckle. 15. What is a sway bar link? A component that connects the stabilizer bar to the control arm. 16. What is the function of a shock absorber mount? To secure the shock absorber to the vehicle. 17. What is a common symptom of worn-out shock absorbers? A bouncy or unstable ride. 18. What is the purpose of a suspension inspection? To identify worn-out or damaged components. 19. What is a Mach PH race strut? A type of suspension system that combines the shock absorber and spring. 20. What is the function of a torsion bar? To provide suspension support and stability. 21. What is a strut assembly? A component that combines the shock absorber, spring, and steering knuckle. 22. What is the purpose of a suspension alignment? To adjust the wheel angles to manufacturer specifications. 23. What is a common cause of uneven tire wear? Misaligned suspension or worn-out components. 24. What is the function of a wheel bearing? To support the wheel and allow smooth rotation. 25. What is a hub assembly? A component that combines the wheel bearing and hub. 26. What is the purpose of a suspension upgrade? To improve vehicle performance or stability. 27. What is a coilover? A type of suspension system that combines the shock absorber and spring. 28. What is the function of a rebound spring? To control the rebound of the suspension. 29. What is a common symptom of a worn-out ball joint? Clamping or clicking noise. 30. What is the purpose of a suspension lubrication? To reduce wear and tear on components.
Pistons and connecting rods. Questions and answers. 1. What is the function of a piston? Create turbulence. Receive force from expanding combustion forces. 2. What materials are used to manufacture pistons? Aluminum, hypoeutectic aluminum, cast iron. 3. How is piston slap controlled in an engine? Piston pin offset. 4. What are piston balance pads? Area of extra metal that can be removed to balance. Near pin boss. 5. How does the piston expand with heat? Diameter across pin boss expands more material. Piston head expands more closer to combustion. 6. Why are some piston ring lands reinforced? Control heat expansion. Reduce wear. 7. What are the types of piston pin designs? Full floating. Press fit. 8. What are the functions of the piston rings? Seal against gases. Control lubrication. Transfer heat from piston to cylinder wall. 9. What materials are used in piston rings? Cast iron, ductile cast iron, steel alloys, stainless steel, faced with molybdenum or chrome. 10. What is ring side clearance and how is it measured? Space between ring and groove, with a feeler gauge. 11. When would you measure ring end gap and how? When replacing parts or making changes to parts related to piston or cylinder. Ring in cylinder below ring travel, feeler gauge. 12. What are torsional twist rings and how do they work? Have a bevel that is acted on by combustion gases. Twist to seal. Plus twist up to seal against combustion. Rev, twist down to seal oil scrap oil. 13. How are piston rings indexed? Marking on one face of the ring to locate up position. Note ring type in each position. Align gaps as per instructions. 14. List different types of connecting rod designs. Straight offset. Straight cut bias cut. 15. How do manufacturers align the connecting rod caps? Fracture sintered metal. Dowel, shoulder on rod bolt. 16. What is the purpose of the connecting rod spit holes? Oil to cylinder wall on major thrust side. 17. How should you remove piston rings? Use piston ring expanders for compression rings. Spiral off oil control rings. 18. How are pressed piston pins removed from the connecting rod? Need a special holder. Use a press. 19. How are pistons cleaned? Pressure washer, light plastic brush, solvent tank, clean grooves with ring scraper or a piece of an old ring. 20. What inspections can be done to connecting rods? Straightness, bore alignment, cracks, size, taper, origin of bores, bearing wear, visual inspection, discoloration. 21. What types of reconditioning can be performed in connecting rods? Resizing bid end bore, replacing fasteners.
Red Seal Automotive Exam Preparation. 1. What does a fuel pressure regulator do? Maintains steady fuel pressure at injectors. 2. Normal EFI fuel pressure at idle. 35-45, psi/200 and 40-310 kPa. 3. Pull vacuum hose off regulator. What happens? Pressure goes up 5-10 psi. 4. EVAP purge valve job. Sends stored fuel vapors to engine to burn. 5. P0171 lean. Fuel system cause. Weak pump, clogged filter, low pressure. 6. Tool to check fuel pump volume. Graduated container and timer. 7. What is deadhead pressure? Max pressure pump makes with return blocked. 8. P0442 code means. EVAP small leak detected. 9. Why test injector resistance unplugged. Avoid false readings and ECM damage. 10. Fuel pump driver module purpose. Controls pump speed on returnless systems. 11. Leaking injector symptom cold start. Hard start, black smoke, fuel smell. 12. Fuel tank pressure sensor job. Monitors tank pressure for EVAP tests. 13. Why GDI needs high pressure pump. Injects into cylinder, must beat compression. 14. Danger of opening GDI line without relieving pressure. Fuel can inject through skin. 15. How to relieve GDI pressure. Scan tool disable pump plus run engine, or wait. 16. GDI fuel rail pressure sensor job. Tells PCM actual rail pressure. 17. P0191 code. Fuel rail pressure sensor issue. 18. TBI uses what injector type? Low pressure, high flow injector in throttle body. 19. Fuel pump inertia switch does what? Cuts pump power in a crash. 20. What causes vapor lock? Heat turns fuel to vapor in lines. 21. Why use returnless fuel systems? Less evap emissions, cooler fuel. 22. Saturated injector resistance. 1217 ohms. 23. Peak and hold injector resistance. 24 ohms. 24. Test for sticking injector. Injector balance test. 25. Fuel trim plus 25% means PCM adding max fuel for lean condition. 26. Charcoal canister purpose. Stores fuel vapors from tank. 27. Stops liquid fuel entering EVAP canister. Rollover overfill limit valve. 28. Stoichiometric ratio for gas. 14.7. 1. 29. Leaner than 14.7. 1 causes higher NOx emissions. 30. Richer than 14.7. 1 causes higher CO and HC. 31. Fuel pump strainer sock job. Filters debris before pump. 32. Restricted fuel filter symptom. Loss of power under load. 33. Most common in tank pump type. Turbine or gerotor pump. 34. Fuel pulse damper purpose. Reduces pressure pulsations noise. 35. EVAP vent valve stuck closed code. P0446. 36. What controls min octane needed? Compression, timing, knock control. 37. E10 fuel stoichiometric ratio. About 14.1. 1 needs more fuel. 38. Diesel water separator job. Removes water to protect injectors pump. 39. Diesel fuel heater purpose. Stops fuel gelling in cold. 40. Common rail diesel pressure. 10,000, 30,000 psi.